We are repeatedly told that modern artificial intelligence is the ultimate productivity tool, designed to make you faster and smarter. But what if the very tool engineered to optimize your output is actively dismantling your brain's ability to think? Previous technological leaps, like the Industrial Revolution, were strictly physical interventions. They replaced muscle with machinery, removing our physical limitations and automating our manual labor. Look at the printing press. This invention rapidly scaled the output of text across the globe, but left the human thought processes entirely intact. Artificial intelligence is different. It is the first tool in human history to directly target and automate the broad domain of human cognition itself. When a distracted executive pairs with a generative model, they bypass the biological process of thinking, leading to total dependence on the algorithm. In the future economy, the primary source of value shifts away from task volume and toward the capacity for unassisted thinking. We have to draw a hard line between intelligence and wisdom. Intelligence is theoretical knowledge and technical skill. A large language model can now replicate this flawlessly. Wisdom requires biological friction. It requires moral struggle, lived experience, and an embodied presence in the real world. Think about the economic difference between live music and recorded music. Recorded tracks are perfectly replicated. They are virtually infinite and practically free. But live music commands a massive premium because you watch a real human take an unmediated risk in the moment. In a corporate landscape drowning in flawless, infinite AI-generated outputs, authentic human judgment becomes the ultimate commercial scarcity. We are moving toward the identity of the architect. In this model, a leader's professional value is decoupled from their mechanical output and tied entirely to their unassisted vision. Protecting that unassisted judgment is the core asset of the modern enterprise, requiring a strict defense against cognitive atrophy. A common defense for overusing AI is that offloading memory or basic tasks is a historically proven way to save time. Albert Einstein famously refused to memorize anything he could easily look up in a reference book, preserving his mental capacity for complex problem-solving. Strategic offloading, like letting AI schedule meetings, frees working memory for higher-level thought. But generative offloading is the opposite. Asking AI to generate initial ideas bypasses biological encoding, actively impacting the brain's internal hardware. This behavior actively dismantles the executive mind to save biological energy, moving past the boundaries of safe delegation. Neuroplasticity operates on a strict mechanism known as Hebb's rule. Neurons that fire together, wire together. The terrifying corollary to this rule is that neurons that fire apart, wire apart. In 2024, MIT Media Lab researchers analyzed EEG scans of people using AI to generate writing. They found the prefrontal cortex, the exact seat of our critical reasoning, when almost entirely quiet. This physical shutdown creates a measurable deficit in actual understanding, known as cognitive debt. When you read a flawless AI-generated summary, you experience an illusion of false mastery. You feel like you completely grasped the topic because the final output is perfect. But because you avoided the productive struggle of wrestling with the raw information yourself, you lack the neural pathways required to defend or apply that knowledge in the real world. Every time you click Generate for a first draft, you trade your long-term strategic capability for short-term administrative efficiency. If we know generative offloading causes cognitive debt, why is the temptation to click Generate so impossible to resist? The answer lies in Antonio Damasio's somatic marker hypothesis, which proves that 95% of our behavior is driven by physiological signals encoded in the body, not abstract logic. This logarithmic scale visualizes our biological speed mismatch. If conscious intellect runs at 1x, physical reflexes operate 30,000 times faster. But our emotional center operates at a staggering 900 million times the speed of thought. This vast processing gap explains the drink effect. You feel the relaxing sensation of a drink the exact millisecond it hits your mouth, hours before alcohol is digested, because your instinctive centers process the input instantly. Your conscious intellect merely arrives late to narrate emotional reactions that have already taken place in your body. When an algorithm completes a complex piece of your job in 10 seconds, your body interprets that as an immediate threat. This sensory input takes a physiological low road. It bypasses your rational prefrontal cortex and directly triggers an amygdala hijack, initiating anxious reactivity. You have exactly a 6-second window, the biological half-life of that chemical surge, to let your rational brain intervene. But utilizing that tiny window requires intense, unbroken focus. When you constantly switch contexts, checking devices 12 times a morning, you accumulate severe cognitive residue. This constant switching exacts a heavy toll. By noon, your fragmented executive brain is operating at just 25% capacity. In an era of algorithmic emotional hijacking, sustained attention has become a mandatory survival skill. To combat algorithmic dependence and the pseudo-intimacy of automated responses, modern executives must transition from passive receivers to sovereign thinkers. This checklist outlines the framework to protect your judgment. First, the first draft rule. Enforce a 5-minute productive struggle of independent thought before opening a prompt box. Second, generate your initial thoughts manually, no matter how messy. This physical effort forces biological encoding in the brain. Finally, set a rigid boundary. Use AI strictly as an amplifier to iterate on existing concepts, never for origination. Whether you are defining high-level corporate strategy or composing an apology, the physical friction of unmediated human effort is the actual message. We are rapidly approaching the deployment of brain-computer interfaces like Neuralink. These devices promise to completely remove the physical friction of keyboards and screens. If 95% of our behavior is already driven by subconscious emotion, what happens to human sovereignty when algorithms designed to exploit those exact emotions connect directly to our neural pathways? The automated future is arriving quickly. Mastering your own cognitive friction today is the prerequisite for surviving it.